next, it's the What a Cartoon Show, followed by Space Ghost Coast to Coast on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Space Ghost Coast to Coast, followed by Oh Canada on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Oh Canada, followed by Late Night Black and White on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Late Night Black and White, followed by The Pink Panther on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's The Pink Panther, followed by Droopy on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Huckleberry Hound, followed by Adam Ant on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Adam Ant, followed by Secret Squirrel on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Secret Squirrel, followed by Rocky and Bullwinkle on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Dexter's Laboratory, followed by Cow and Chicken on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Flintstones, followed by the Jetsons on Cartoon.
Coming up next, it's Toonami, followed by Batman on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Batman, followed by Animaniacs on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Animaniacs, followed by Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? On Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Followed by Dexter's Laboratory on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Dexter's Laboratory, followed by Ed, and Eddie on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Ed, and Eddie, followed by Cow and Chicken on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Cow and Chicken, followed by the Bugs and Daffy Show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Bugs and Daffy Show, followed by Tom and Jerry on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry, followed by Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo, followed by the Flintstones on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Flintstones, followed by Ed, and Eddie on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Ed, and Eddie, followed by Cow and Chicken on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Cow and Chicken, followed by Batman on Cartoon Network.